So, welcome back to the book study that we're doing with Dr. Claude Anderson's PowerNomics. In this final chapter, which is chapter 8, he starts to address how the church can be utilized um, as a vehicle for change and growth for the future of our community. And as you've heard me talk throughout most of this series, I've often brought up the church's role, but specifically in chapter 8, just like in chapter 7 he was focused only on politics. In chapter 8 he's focused on the role that the church as a black owned institution can have in fulfilling all of the needs from chapters 1 through 7. So um, he starts off by going, giving the historical context that throughout every age of black existence here in America, the church has played a pivotal role. He goes on to say that after integration and other opportunities became available, the church's role as the civil rights leader and community leader kind of shifted more towards just spirituality and the feeling of prosperity through like the manifesting. You've heard like the prosperity gospels, where it wasn't so much focused on what we're going to be able to do right here in the world. It went more to the spiritual realm, and it just became hope speeches. And he says that for a lot of churches, they begin to lose the membership of especially the youth because that stuff wasn't relatable. And while people remain, Christians remain spiritual, they no longer saw the need for the institution because the institution itself wasn't actually doing anything to fulfill the people outside of that Sunday morning message. And I do remember before actually getting back involved with the church with my wife and kids, at work, and there was a time where somebody was talking to me about, going to church or whatnot, and I had even said, why do I need to go and hear this message when I read my Bible and I have a relationship with God? And it was because of the way that churches had been structured, where it was kind of get in and get out, and you just hearing a motivational speech. The churches that I had been attending up until the church that I attend now, it had just been, you're supposed to show up here to Sunday message and dip. I wasn't getting to know anybody. I wasn't literally building a community or of knowing anybody within that church or doing anything for anybody else that I couldn't just get from here on YouTube. He goes through the idea that there has to be a future vision where the church is not only the spiritual healer and the giver of hope on Sundays, but it actually has a vision for Monday through Saturday of what the community can actually do together to actually help the people within the community, within the congregation, on a earthly basis. He starts off by saying that the church can be, not starts off, but he goes on to talk about how the church can be an economic hub. And the fact that you can have community-owned grocery stores where the church is actually providing goods and services, in the form of the grocery store. So when the church owns a grocery store or bodega, it is actually providing goods or services, goods at a reasonable price, and bringing that profit in to go into the church, to go back out into the community and do work. So that also reduces the burdens on donations and tithes from the actual congregation, because the church, as a nonprofit, actually has businesses, and this is okay. This is what billionaires are doing when they say they're going to donate their money to charity. The charity actually owns all of the assets, and it's a charity in their name. So when you hear about like the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, yes, they're leaving their money to charity, but that charity is a foundation in their name, and their descendants are going to be the ones, and whoever they put in charge, trustees or whatnot, are going to be the ones that continue to manage the assets and continue to manage the businesses so they can be profitable to do the work that they want the foundations to do. The same can be done with our churches, where they're taking our tithes and whatnot, and using some of it, to continue to do the work of the people, but some of it actually going into cash flowing assets that can continue to fund that work, regardless of how much is giving by the community at the time. Um, Building, working with and building the financial institutions. So, um, going into a collection of black-owned churches turning into credit unions or forming a credit union. Um, and this can be done because I saw last year sometime that the sorority AKA actually formed a credit union. So we can have black-owned credit unions that come from a collection of churches. So even one church decided they want to partner and figure out how they're going to build a credit union so they can start educating and providing loans to the community. And regardless of how you feel about how deep a church goes into the financial aspects of working with the community, that's on you. But these are just ideas that come about from reading chapter 8 of PowerNomics. And then again, the business incubators. We talked about those tech hubs and whatnot in Silicon Valley and Hollywood and whatnot in Atlanta. But you can do the same thing by building business incubators right here in your own congregation, where you're having networking events where people are actually getting to know the people that as you say, know their pew partners. The guys on Earn Your Leisure. I think Trey went to church with one of the CEOs, or not CEOs, one of the executives of Revolt. But at the time didn't even know it. They just happened to find out. And that is how Earn Your Leisure ended up getting that partnership with Revolt. It literally came from one of the guys going to church with an executive firm, Revolt in New York. When we're talking about the black doctors and stuff and the need for that, again, by accident, it turned out through insurance and happenstance, my wife wanted a black OBGYN for when she got pregnant and wanted to have a baby, when we were getting ready to have a kid. And it turned out that the doctor actually went to our church, and we found this out once we were actually meeting with the doctor. But again, if you think about like all of our health concerns and all of the things that we talk about how black women aren't being treated correctly in the medical profession when they come in as patients, imagine if our churches all knew who the doctors and nurses and everybody else in the medical profession was through networking and health fairs. That way, the same lady that delivered my baby, imagine if everybody from the church knew she was an OBGYN, checked their insurance and found out, and she was the one that was being paid to take care of bringing in the life of all of the members of the congregation. So going from motivation to mobilization. So again, there's that portion where he's talking about the fact that post integration, the churches kind of went to becoming motivational speakers, and just focusing on just the spiritual and theology. But as we know that Jesus went out there and did the work of healing the people, feeding the people. And then they heard him speak. And he's saying that we got to move back towards that kind of way, that kind of movement for the church, where, yes, if you come on Sunday, you can hear the motivational message. But on Monday, we're empowering the community. We're out there doing the things to make the poor be able to feed themselves. We're eradicating illnesses that can be dealt with. So actually doing the work of Jesus Monday through Saturday, and then on Sunday you can still have the inspirational message when we all come together and pray that we all have a great week together, and start having a stronger practical impact on the community. Education. Again, we have these infrastructures that have already built, that we're already paying for, that we do that we utilize mostly for the most congregation on Sunday. Yes, there are things that are happening throughout the week, but what can we do more to involve the congregation throughout the week? So on this one, he's talking about the education in the church and bridging that learning gap. So all churches have teachers that are already a part of their congregation. So imagine if we had a ministry where teachers would show up, and maybe that was the after school program. It could be retired teachers, current teachers. We have Khan Academy and all of these other resources that are available where somebody might, the members of the church might be willing, even if they're not current teachers, might be willing to just go and offer homework help to help our students get ahead. Again, Kumon is something that a lot of the other cultures, a lot of other immigrants are coming to school. They leave school and they go. They take the children. Parents are taking their children to Kumon to get ahead. We don't have to pay for it. We can actually start trying to figure out how to install that within our churches, so that after school, students are actually going to the churches and utilizing them as community centers to get better educated. Financial support. Start generating scholarships so that the church is giving scholarships to students who do well in school that want to go on and attend, get higher levels of learning, whether it's college or trade schools, community college, putting together ways that we can start raising funds together to help these kids pay for after high school education. And then advocacy training, where we're just teaching parents how to be better advocates for their kids, whether that's learning more about special ed, scholarships, financial aid, how to prep better, monitor what your kids are doing at school, how to be a part of the PTO, how to get your concerns in front of the school board. So actually teaching how to play the game effectively when it comes to the education of our kids. And again, I think I talked about this earlier. He went to the health, healing, and holistic ministry, and I spoke about it with the OBGYN, but actually having professionals from the community, from the congregation, come in and talk about the things that we can do to reduce the levels of diabetes, hypertension, maternal mortality, which is the one that's really big for me. Both of my kids came out premature. And start having that vision of how to build a healthy lifestyle within the congregation through fitness and nutrition and overall medical awareness. And again, from the networking standpoint, being able to know what professionals do we already have inside of our community and congregations, whether it's doctors, dentists, eye doctors, or whatnot. Going back to supporting our own, supporting people that are investing in us, getting as many people from the congregation to start to know, like, and trust those professionals as their actual provider. That's how you can also get the money circulating on the health side. On the political side, he's going back to the church. Now we're bringing chapter 7 up to chapter 8. And it's not just voter drives. As I spoke about earlier, it's actually teaching members how to read, budgets, how to read city budgets, state budgets, federal budgets, building relationship with those policy people. And as I said before, having those churches come in, having those council members, the mayor, state representatives, school board members come in for town halls where the congregation can actually ask questions about the future and actually hold these people accountable for what they said they were going to do. And then that leadership, cultivating that next level leadership of people who are going to run for those city council representative and board positions and the mayor. That way within our community we start to build those people that will become the next politicians that will do all the things that we are advocating for, as I said in the last video, with my made up Project 2075 for the Black community. So then it gets even bigger where you start to unite the different churches. So a lot of times when I've been talking so far through this series, especially when it comes to churches, in my mind I've had this vision of what this was looking like for a particular city, even down to a large Black population in a particular zip code. But in this one, he starts talking about building the coalitions of how the different, especially in the larger cities in America, how the different mega churches within those cities start to do all of these things collectively and work together on all of the initiatives that are, we're putting into place for how the church is going to move Monday through Saturday, with, shared investment, pooling resources to start buying, creating a community investment fund so that you can have the, I guess, kind of Shark Tank idea of it, of investing in entrepreneurs who have ideas that will benefit the community and are looking to build inside of the community. Real estate trust, where start to buy land so you can put industrial flex space and stuff on it. So again, pulling the resources together to get the huge capital expenditures to possibly buy the land and build an infrastructure, but then you can have smaller entrepreneurs that are plugged into those industrial spaces, the flex spaces, co-working spaces, so they, where they can start to lease those spaces from the larger church organizations that own these large properties. So again, it's a way to produce and generate cash flow and not just the entire system running off of donations. And then it's the school adoption. So when you have these churches in these communities, in our communities, having them adopt the PTOs and adopt the schools, the elementary, middle, and high schools, and actually have their members going out that are dedicated to wanting their be a part of the education ministry, actually adopting these schools and going into these schools and helping students and teachers do the best they can with the resources that the state they're giving to them, and adding more to it. The internal challenges are going to be the financial transparency, and people always want to know, where's the money going? We always hear about the problems with, worried about the scamming, worried about the, what the pastor is, how the pastor is living, and we have to address that. That is going to be something that's going to hold people up from wanting to get involved, but we got to do it. He talks about gender equity and leadership. I think we've come pretty far on that, but always, there's always going to be back and forth on whether or not we've gone far enough. So just making sure that the best people that are available to lead are doing the things that can do to move the community forward. And then adapting the needs to younger generations. I spoke of this earlier when I said that a lot of young people end up falling out of, they come up through the church as parents, but then the church literally doesn't address a lot of the issues that they're going through between graduating high school and actually being married with a family. When you see some of these actually come back, it's that those middle years of what are you doing to stay involved and stay active and stay relevant to the, and I'm say 20 to 35-year-olds who are finding their way through life and are often having to find their way through life without a relationship with religious institutions. So not saying that they don't have a relationship with God as they're going through this, but you will see that the institutional relationship, as you call it, church and religion, is lost during that 15-year period, and many of them don't actually come back. And we have to address what are ways that we can stay relevant to the 20 to 35-year-olds that get lost in that cycle of young adulthood. It goes on to say that Sunday we can't continue to worship and inspire for the Spirit, but Monday through Saturday becomes action and empowering the community. That needs to be the focus. Bring everybody in on Sundays, have the great motivational, inspirational, spiritual message that brings us all together. But on Monday, it's time to do the work of Jesus. And then see you all in the next video. This is the end of the series, so you'll see me in the next series when we go over the next book. Look forward to seeing you then.